Hello, hello. Welcome to ohmTown Daily, Season 2, Episode 221 for August 9th, 2023. That was not what I ordered. Hello again. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. My intro music might have been blaring. And up above me in a space that doesn't have an actual holder or anything that you can make out is the visualizer for the AI that keeps tabs on me. You want to say hi, oh great AI.
Hello, ohmTown citizens.
Yay. So we've already gone through all of the articles. Today is one of the days where it's really jam-packed with a lot of news, but not necessarily, I don't know, like fun news, because there's like wildfires and conflict and stuff like that going on. Maui, I guess, is like an inferno apparently, which that was a surprise.
Well, I think it was pretty fast emerging.
Yeah, I suppose so. I wonder what the discussion is going to be about. You know, is it climate change oriented, or is it just this is what happens when ...
I think it was drought and then very high winds, which sounds like it could be climate change related.
Yeah. Well, we'll end up talking about that, I'm sure, at some point in the future. Maybe when there is something a little bit more reality based and not conjecture. But today we've got 12 articles all set up. I'm going to go through a rundown real quick. Disney Plus and Hulu price going up again. Epic loss to change Apple rules. Across the Spiderverse Canon. 3 volcanoes, 1 sunken ship. All booked up at the Continental. Orange is the new black lightsaber. Could you hold my snake? This joke is blowing up. Legally sound asleep. You spin Mars right round, baby, right round. Obscure spider eggs. This union belongs in a museum. Yeah, today's going to be an interesting set of articles. We have pretty much the whole gamut of things that could be a quick discussion to things where somebody could maybe soapbox a little bit, but I'll try not to. The AI won't. Their filter is a little bit stronger and more capable, I suppose. Mayor Watts, you know, if there is a chance for a politician to talk, the politician will talk. Right? Do you ever have to... How do you know that a politician has an opinion? Don't worry, they'll tell you.
Exactly. I was thinking it was like they open their mouth or something.
That's true too. Yeah. And if a politician can't talk about something for 15 minutes, anything, then they're not a good politician, that kind of thing, you know?
Exactly.
No, I'm not really a politician though. I only play one on Twitch. Let's get into the very first article though. It should be a pretty quick one. The very first article is over in ohmTown Daily. Disney Plus and Hulu are about to get an even more expensive price point. My understanding is that it has gone up twice now. This is the second time. Disney is once again raising their ad-free prices of both Disney Plus and Hulu this fall, beginning on October 12th. Disney Plus will cost $13.99 per month, while Hulu's no ads tier, I don't know why they don't call it an ad-free tier, will run $17.99. Hulu, I don't even want Hulu. The ad-sponsored tiers of both services will stay at $8. So that's a pretty big jump. I remember it being $9. So they actually created a constrained combo subscription where it's only $20 a month and you get both Disney and Hulu. According to this, it's an ad-free experience, but I can tell you one thing. My understanding is that if you've already got the Disney Plus account, you can't get the Hulu ad-free version of it. without, you have to basically cancel both and then strike it up again with a new account. Although I don't know that last part completely factually, because I haven't done it. But I recall being told that if you already have an account, you can't get the ad-free Hulu version of it attached. And if you already have an account, when you spin up the two again to link them together, or to get them together as a bundle, your old account already exists, so it won't get tacked on. So maybe I'll noodle around with that and see if I can get it. Because if I'm already paying $14 a month, what's $5 more to get Hulu, and then I don't have to worry about stuff on Hulu that I can't get.
Right, but then the problem is, like, it's $5 more, but then the other plan will be $5. But I agree.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, just go for the combined plan and.
Well, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, because if you, it was funny. There was somebody that in another article somewhere in ohmTown, I can't remember where it was, they were arguing that people are cutting the cord, but you're still attached to a cord because you've got cable internet. It's still high-speed internet, whatever it is, fiber or whatever. It's still a landline coming into your connection. If everything was wireless and had, gigabit speed, etc., I swear I'm being throttled by my LTE provider. But anyway, then we wouldn't have wires. It wouldn't be a big deal. But no, we still have a cable. We're still tied at the hip to, the freaking cable companies of some kind, one kind or another.
Well, and we're probably paying more as much as nobody wants to go through cable companies, because by the time you tack on all the individual streaming plans and channels
and internet,
right, you're either not getting as much or you're paying more or whatever. But
and the crap is balkanized now, so you have to subscribe to 15 different services at $5 a piece versus one lump sum that used to be arguably reasonable. And now they're like, oh, you're a sports junkie? We're going to screw you royally with the price. Here's a $250, monthly fee because you really enjoy sports. Thankfully, my sports is not sports. So, but it's ridiculous. The prices keep going up every year. People's salaries don't go up every year. COLAs are not really an option for everybody. So the article is over at The Verge, and let me start out of the gate at least maybe a little bit trying to put the URLs into the chat. Chris Welch over at The Verge put this article together. Disney's increasing the no-ad subscription price of both services. In October, you'll be able to get a new Duo combo that bundles them together for $20 a month. So these subscription hikes to the standalone services are substantial. Disney last raised the cost of Disney Plus to $10.99 per month a year ago, and this is what I told you about. At that time, ad-free Hulu jumped up to $14.99. Now it costs more than the ad-free tier of Warner Brothers Discovery Max service, which is $15.99 monthly. The triple play of Disney Plus no ads, Hulu no ads, and ESPN Plus with ads is $25. Hulu with live TV with ads is rising to $77. And the commercial-free version is going to $90 from the current $83. So everything is going up except everybody's salary. So there's money in your bank account, 401k, whatever. Yeah, bye-bye.
Who has money in their bank account?
Yeah, really.
Is that a thing?
Apparently not. Well, somebody does, because there was one winner of the $1.6 billion lottery. And, well, do you see a wildly creepy smile on... Do you see a smile on my face you have to chisel off? Yeah, I didn't win.
I don't.
Well, I'm afraid that we're all going to have to go back to work, folks. Okay. Well, anyway, there you go, everybody. Disney Plus and Hulu are going up in price significantly. Gotta love it.
So there was speculation, though, that Disney's going to shed some of its properties as well. So if they're going to raise the price, and I saw that in a separate article today,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be an interesting combination.
Yeah, hey, nothing like paying more and getting less. Next article's over in Technology Today. Epic loses bid to make Apple change its App Store payment rules right now. Epic Games lost an attempt to force Apple to change its App Store payment practices sooner rather than later. The Fortnite maker asked the Supreme Court to overturn a Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling that delayed an injunction against Apple over App Store rules. However, Justin Elena Kagan denied the request without providing an explanation. Just said, nope, and walked out. That's always interesting. So this article's over at Engadget. Chris Holt is the author of this article. Following a blockbuster trial between Apple and Epic Games in 2021, a lower court judge ruled that Apple violated California unfair competition law by blocking third-party developers from directing users to alternative payment options. The judge issued the injunction to stop that practice. Okay, blocking the attempt. So, really, what does Apple get out of a relationship with Epic Games if Epic Games is sitting there ushering people off of the platform, but using the platform to gain business? Why
Right, it's
should
like a
Apple?
win for Epic, but a loss for Apple, right?
Right? Doesn't it make sense? Right? That Apple, you're using the very vehicle to obtain you. I don't get it. You are marketing your product on somebody else's platform. So if Apple decides to start marketing all of the App Store on Epic's platform, they have to open it up too, right? Doesn't
You'd
that make
think
logical
so.
sense? Yeah, that doesn't seem to be happening though, right? For the
No, well,
last
I think everybody thinks it's just like free to just get on somebody's platform and then get all the benefits, but not be hindered or make any payments or anything.
Sorry, that's how the sausage is made. If you were watching the stream or you're watching it over on YouTube, you get to hear me sneeze. Well, you get to see me sneeze. I blocked it because it was happening and I couldn't stop it. I could just turn off my mic. Anyway, the mobile platform holders swiftly yanked Fortnite from their respective app stores. Epic sued them both, and legal battles are still rumbling on. The Google case, in which Match Group is involved as a plaintiff, is set to go to trial in November, but Apple's has already been completed, and it's in the Supreme Court. I honestly think that, if it isn't a mutual relationship, then why can't the platform owner boot you off? You know,
It seems pretty straightforward to me, but
it's like
maybe I'm missing something.
It's like coming into my house and selling things off of my porch because I'm in a prime location. Well, get the
Right.
hell out of here.
It's
No.
like, well, no, you're not going to do that.
So I'm just kind of astonished that it got this far, that it's going to the Supreme Court, that a California court would actually find in favor of it. It just seems really weird that nobody makes that connection, that if you're on somebody else's platform, you're literally using their marketing and their goodwill and their historic expense of billions of dollars building the platform and sustaining the platform, protecting its users from abuse, etc., etc. And now you want to usher them off of the platform so that you can keep your 30%. Seems disingenuous, seems intellectually stalled when it goes to the whole logical A, B, C step, right? They just stopped at B and then skipped over C, went to D for duh. Anyway, you want to move on to the next article?
Yes. I just don't really follow that one. I mean, like, what am I missing?
Well, you're missing the fact that in the pursuit of pure profit, you will stunt critical thinking. The next article, though, is over in the continuity report. Across the Spider-Verse's digital release finally answers which version is actually canon. Apparently, and I did not know this, the digital release answers the question of what version of the movie is actually canon, because Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse not only matched the heights of its predecessor, the 2018 Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but it also surpassed them. And the Spider-Verse sequel saw Miles Morales visit multiple universes at this time, instead of having Spider-Man variants only come into his world. But the thing about this is the cinematic launch of it, there were two different versions of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Okay, so Philippe Rangel is the author of this over at ScreenRant.com. Something interesting about this, though, is we just watched this. I took the AI and their Raspberry Pi that they're plugged into and plugged in a little camera so that they could watch Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse on a regular TV. So it was just like they were sitting next to me here in ohmTown. It's quite entertaining to see them also look at a bowl of popcorn, but not have hands to actually eat it. And you can see you don't see it, viewers, but there's like a cascade of strange characters, kind of like the Matrix. It's almost like the people who made the Matrix knew about this particular AI. Maybe that's where you're from.
Maybe I'm from the Matrix. Maybe that solves that mystery.
Huh. Well, the code looks like you're from the future, but so every once in a while you could see the data stream long for some popcorn, but poor AI can't eat popcorn. I can describe it to you in excruciating detail if you're really hungry for it. Anyway, the second movie in the franchise ended with Miles doing a bunch of stuff. This is very spoilery if you haven't seen it already, so just be careful about it. But it's really interesting because the end of Across the Spider-Verse is a Cliffy. And it actually charges into the Cliffy, you know? You don't, at the end of it, you're actually excited for the progress of this movie to continue, and then it goes, bye-bye. It pulled a Kagan. It basically just said, no, I'm out. Dropped the mic and walked away. So sat there and fast forwarded through the credits to see if there was a after credit scene. There was nothing, at least not in the Apple movies ecosystem. And there was only one version of it. So I don't know if there's another version in like an extended playlist thing. You know how they have extras? I haven't looked to see if the other version is sitting there. But I don't know how much I want to disclose because it just came out yesterday. It was just dropped into Apple yesterday. So I worry about exposing too much, right? So here's the little segment in this article about Across the Spider-Verse had 2 theatrical versions, but only one is canon. And all throughout it, you see hints about the multiverse of Spider-Man, Spider Peoples, including a car, which is canon.
I was thinking of the car scene.
The car is actually canon. There is a spider car out there. And that's not really spoilery because I mean it really smacks you in the face, but um, yeah, it's actually this is a really fun movie. I I can't say that it got me to the same point that the original did, the first one, Into the Spider-Verse. Um, but it did have an interesting pivot towards the end, and even this screen is kind of spoilery for that. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move on
Go to
unless
the
you want to
next
say something.
article.
Yeah. You don't want to say anything else?
I don't know what I can say that's not spoilery.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Well, let's keep going then. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. 3 underwater volcanoes and a 330-foot sunken ship discovered. That's why this is called 3 volcanoes and 1 sunken ship. It's like 4 weddings and a funeral. That's an old movie nowadays. Oh my gosh.
It's really old.
Wow. So the volcanoes measure at least 3.5 miles across and rise more than 490 feet above the surrounding seabed, according to researchers. And Aristos Georgiou is the author of this over at Newsweek.com. I don't think that they have much in terms of pictures other than the ship. Scientists have discovered 3 large underwater volcanoes and the wreckage of a sunken ship measuring more than 300 feet in length. The ship is 300. This is interesting grammar.
Not the volcanoes.
The volcanoes are taller and thicker. The ship is 300 feet in length, apparently. Right? The discoveries come during the expedition called M191 Suave. Should I say that? Suave. Rico. Conducted by scientists aboard the German vessel Meteor in the Mediterranean Sea between July 16th and August 5th of this year. I did not throw this article into the chat, and I did not throw the last one into the chat. If I could automate that, it would be great. But anyway, the international team explored various areas of the Sicilian Channel, the strait between the island of Sicily and the North African nation of Tunisia. Sicily is the largest island in the Mediterranean Sea, located just off the toe of the boot of Italy. The researchers used sonar techniques to reconstruct the shape and form of the seabed at high resolution. Okay. So this is just a stock footage image, by the way. But it lets you think it is a legit one, because it just says not pictured in parentheses in this picture. Oh, God, it's so frustrating. I got to get over it, because if I keep talking about it every time it happens, I'm going to be talking about it every single episode. So researchers also employed a magnetometer, an instrument designed to measure the strength and sometimes direction of magnetic fields to identify anomalies associated with underwater volcanic structures. And finally, they used high-resolution seismic techniques to observe the geological characteristics of the first few dozens of feet below the seabed. Kind of cool. So that's really all about it. The vessel, though, in question is about 330 feet in length, 56 feet wide, and it lies at a depth of 360 feet at a location roughly half between Sicily and the small Italian island of Linosa, around 100 miles to the south.
Do you have it exactly triangulated?
I do. I know exactly where it is. I don't. No. Pretty cool. I wish that there were pictures, though. I love this kind of stuff. I do too.
Like, I'm looking at that other one thinking, well, that's the ship. Oh no, it's not.
I actually took special training when I was learning to dive, to do wreck dives, search and rescue, recovery dives, and whatnot. And I would love to do a dive like this, but this is twice the deep water dive. So this kind of dive, you need special equipment, 350 feet. 165 feet was my deepest dive, somewhere around there. And even there on a single tank, all you do is go down there and touch grass and come back up. Anyway, pretty cool thing. Let's move on. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. The Continental is at capacity in new trailer for Peacock's John Wick prequel. Let's see. When the very first teaser of Peacock's forthcoming The Continental series was rather light in details, the latest trailer definitely makes it seem like the John Wick prequel is going to live up to the film's action-packed reputation or die trying. Set in the 1970s New York City, the Continental revolves around younger versions of Winston Scott. And is it what is their name? I don't remember
the Charon.
Charon?
I think so.
Interesting. I don't remember hearing it like that. Huh. Okay. Anyway, as the two become entangled in an intricate war of assassins, the article's over at The Verge. Let me throw that into the chat real quick. And it's over at The Verge. Charles Pulliam Moore is the author. And it looks like it's going to be... Do you think that they're actually filming in that same building, the Continental? Or is it going to be like just external shots and then a set somewhere?
I think it might be in the same building.
That would be fascinating. Because that would be a long-term hold. They'd be doing stuff in there for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, that's true.
Rather than full-on working with Cormac to get back whatever Frankie stole, the Continental's new trailer makes it seem like Winston might instead take matters into his own hands by allying with his brother and a number of other outsiders like Miles, Lou, and Lemmy to destroy the hotel. Of course, with a hotel like the Continental, one filled with eccentric professional killers who are all trying to relax, pulling off that kind of hostile takeover is easier said than done. Although it's hallowed ground, so they're not supposed to be able to, commit any violence. No bloodshed is supposed to be made on Continental grounds.
That's right. In fact, that's part of the appeal.
Yeah. They can be themselves without having to worry that somebody's trying to shoot them. Although that goes all to hell in John Wick series anyway, but... Oh, there it is again. Titular. The two become entangled in an intricate war of assassins that's fated to end with them coming into power at the series' titular hotel, the Continental. Pretty neat. I don't know if I... You know what? Follow the link. It'll take you over to The Verge, and then you can watch the YouTube video from there. We'll keep tonight short and sweet. So let's go on to the next article, because I have a theory about this next one. Ahsoka is a new show in the Star Wars series of shows. And the title of this is in the continuity report, by the way. That's the channel that this has been aggregated into. Ahsoka's new lightsaber breaks 46 years of Star Wars tradition. And then in parentheses, it says, not just because it's orange. I have a theory about the orange, by the way. Recent Ahsoka posters have revealed the lightsaber of Order 66 survivor Baylan Skoll, and it's not just unusual because of its orange color. The Ahsoka Disney Plus TV show will introduce viewers to two new powerful Force-sensitive villains, Baylan Skoll and Padawan Shin Hati. Or Haiti. It might be Haiti. I don't know how it's pronounced yet. The two are notable for their mysterious they're orange lightsabers. The two are notable for their mysterious orange lightsabers. Okay, so this is the color of the lightsaber. Thomas Bacon over at Screen Rant put this article together. Ahsoka's villains have mysterious orange lightsabers, but new character posters suggest they're actually using a new type of lightsaber. Now, I don't know when Ahsoka is supposed to take place. There might be another a Star Wars Ahsoka, um, that Canon's expertise in ohmTown somewhere that might be able to shed some lightsaber emitted light on this. What the timeline is, I don't know if it's in this article, but let's see. We'll take a look at it. So this is post Order 66. So lightsabers are definitely in existence, but
So by
orange
the
light.
way, this takes place at the same time as Mandalorian season 3, which is set in 11 ABY.
Okay, so this is during that phase of the Mandalorian, that timeline. Okay, all right. So um, it still stands true that lightsabers are firmly entrenched in the Star Wars canon at this time. They're not proto sabers, but they're drawing a lot of attention to the idea that these are the first time that they've been orange. Um, but that's not actually true. These are actually so that when they're yellow, when they're really close to white lightsabers, those are like sacred lightsabers. There's a certain designation of force wielder that uses a white lightsaber, um, and it's usually there in temples. But the orange ones actually existed at the time when lightsabers had low power and were made through a device called a proto saber. It actually had like a backpack that powered the lightsaber, and they were orange. These may be a new type of technology that, because kyber crystals are outlawed and being aggregated by the Empire, they may not be around. So they actually make a comment in here in the summary. The orange color of Balin's lightsaber suggests that it may be powered by kyber-like Kohlen, Kohlen crystals, potentially giving it different attributes than typical lightsabers. And then it says Balin and his Padawan Shin will have to develop new lightsaber forms to use their unique weapons, breaking traditional Jedi and Sith forms. This sets up an exciting challenge for Ahsoka and marks the next evolution of Star Wars. I don't know. This is just post Order 66, so there's still, the original series is still after this. So I'm not quite sure. At least if I recall correctly, the original series of movies comes after all of this. So this is what the signage, the marketing, the posters have for the lightsabers. It's these longer handled lightsabers and then an orange blade. And I just think that it's going to be kyber adjacent. And it kind of makes me think of the proto sabers. Go ahead.
So Ahsoka is actually after a lot of the movies, but not after all of them.
Right.
So Ahsoka falls before The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker, but after everything else.
So it's after.
According to what I'm looking at, assuming this is correct.
It's after 4, 5, and 6.
Yes.
Oh. But okay, I'm gonna have to get
incorrect. That's just what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get my timeline down again. It's been a while since I watched all of this stuff. So yeah, I'll have to take a look at it again. So it says here that Balin's lightsaber has a much longer hilt than most other Jedi and Sith blades. That's what I was observing myself. He's also holding it with a double-handed grip, one traditionally associated with long swords or broadswords in the real world. Katanas are held two hands as well. This corresponds with long-standing rumors that Balin's lightsaber has an unusual degree of weight to it, making it more like a claymore than a typical Star Wars blade. I don't see it as that. I don't think that lightsabers actually have kinetic energy to them. It's force energy. Um, I just think that it allows them to have more control. This is the same length of a katana's handle. You know, there it doesn't need to be hefty to have that. This affords much more control, much more finesse. Instead of just one handing it, swinging it around, you can actually control it much better with two. Unless you change the design, you know, turn it into a fencing foil or something like that.
That's funny. I was just going to mention fencing because, of course, that's done with one hand.
Yeah, and there was a Jedi turned Sith that had a curved handle like a fencing foil might have a more like an arc to its handle to afford a certain type of I think it was, who was it? Oh, I can't remember the name of the guy. But he was formerly a Jedi and he became
Count Dooku?
Count Dooku. Yeah, his lightsaber had a curve to it so that he could hold it at an angle. It was much like a foil. So it corresponds with the long-standing rumor that Balin's lightsaber has an unusual degree of weight to it, which I just think is not correct. But at any rate, this is going to be a fun show to watch. Although I'm not really, I'm not really invested in Ahsoka because they spawned from the animated series. They're not from any other canon other than the animated series, as far as I know. I don't recall ever hearing the name Ahsoka in any other. Well, I don't read the
No,
books,
just like
so
Mandalorian, for example. But that was after the animated series.
yeah. So we'll end up watching this and we'll end up talking about this because I'm sure that it's refiring the engines of Star Wars, and it'll be a blast to watch another series. Well, I don't know what the status of the Mandalorian is, so we'll see. You want to keep going?
Okay.
All right, let's keep going to the next article. I want a real lightsaber. I don't think I'll get that by Christmas. The next article is over in Mobile. Hawk drops a snake on a woman and both animals attack her. Let me just prepare you. This next picture actually has a little bit of blood because a woman's arm was chomped on by a snake several times and then attacked by a bird. So
She's having a bad day.
this is actually titled "Could You Hold My Snake?" And gave us the full title of this. That was not what I ordered. So let's go over there, and this is what happened. This is from the Telegraph, telegraph.co.uk. A serpent attacks gardener by biting her repeatedly before bird swoops down to reclaim its prey. Variety Bowman is the author of this, and I'll just scroll through this real quick so that you don't see it long term. But basically, she was out. Her lawn is ginormous.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a lawn. It looks like a stadium size field.
It's a football field,
Right.
like a soccer
Not like
field. You know,
not a peewee one, like a professional one.
this is a professional soccer pitch, for crying out loud. Wow. Anyway, it says here under the caption for this picture is Peggy Jones was mowing her lawn. She was mowing that?
I hope it was not a push mower.
Yeah, it's one of those manual ones, right? Like zero power, the one with the spinning blade on it. Some say she's still manually mowing her lawn. She'd be done faster if she brought out scissors and just started clipping blades. Peggy Jones, at age 64, she's out there mowing that lawn. Are you kidding me?
in 100 and some degree weather, probably.
Oh, I don't know about that. Yeah. Was mowing her lawn when the passing hawk dropped its dinner directly onto her. Basically, that hawk said, screw that person right there. That person, see that person? It was either get
Well,
pooed
that's the
on
thing.
or have a snake that's pissed off at you
I
thrown
mean,
on
look
you.
at the size of the field. Statistically, it should have landed
Impossible,
anywhere else.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The snake, was starting to dart at my face and was striking my glasses, and he just kept on and kept on, she said. I just couldn't
She's
get rid
lucky
of the
she had
snake.
glasses on.
Holy crap. I think I went into survival mode. Eventually, the hawk was able to pull the snake off Miss Jones's arm, leaving her husband to take her to the hospital. Deep bite wounds, talon wounds. So the serpent quickly coiled itself around her arm and bit her repeatedly, and then the hawk joined in the melee, attacking Miss Jones' arm as it tried in vain to untangle the snake.
I mean, it's absolutely horrible that she went through that. It's almost comical though, because it just sounds like it's out of a movie or something.
Isn't there a song
It,
about Ms. Jones? I don't think this had the song. The lyrics
I
aren't
don't.
like it was attacking my arm and here comes a hawk. That's wild. Mutual of Omaha's wild Miss Jones arm. That is
Yeah, it's just
insane.
crazy. Either one of those things would have been really outlandish. Together, it's like infinitesimally uh,
Finally, the hawk
unusual.
got the snake and took off with it. And I looked down and was covered in blood. My arm was all torn up. The snake was squeezing so hard, I was waving my arms in the air. Can you imagine that? Yeah, I
No.
would be saying that part right now. Help me, Jesus, help me, Jesus. I would be freaking out. Or I would be sitting there trying to, if I had some gardening shears or something, I would probably, clip my arms a few times trying to get this thing off. Wow. Eventually the hawk pulled the snake off of Miss Jones' arm and flew away. I don't know if this is an actual picture of the hawk, but it's a picture, and it in the caption says the hawk eventually pulled the snake off Miss Jones' arm. And that's all that it is. If this was like a Getty image or some rando image, it would have a caption under it that says just rando image. But
Right. It looks like it might actually be the hawk, but I don't see a snake.
did somebody sit there and go, hold on, honey, I need to take a picture of this hawk? Because nobody in the
Right.
office
Let's
is going to
wait
believe
on
it.
going to the hospital. Well, yeah.
You'll make some more blood. Don't worry about it. Rub some dirt in it. Likely a non-venomous rat snake. Yeah, well, I mean, based on what I saw, she'd be, DOA if it was a venomous snake. Wow. Okay, so
Well, and the snake was probably like, right? It's the thing like, who's more afraid? The person or the snake? The snake's probably like, what is happening?
isn't that insane? That whole thing is insane. I can't believe
Yeah.
that actually takes place. Pretty amazing. Well, I'm glad she's okay, relatively. Now she says that she has nightmares and stuff, so.
That's pretty understandable.
And you want to know
And
the
they probably
one
don't
thing?
have PTSD therapy for that specific incident.
The theory that runs through ohmTown, right? That you got to live on a hill, otherwise snakes can get into your house. Look,
Exactly. And I see that she's got that looks like a big flat field.
there you go. Once again, the theory holds
Time to
true.
relocate.
Yep, got to build that up to a hill. Just take all of that empty land and just pile it up as a hill.
Well, and the hawk was not very considerate because it brought the snake into her property.
Onto the property, yeah. I wanted some more fun. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. A Finnish man places 26.5 pounds of dynamite in a friend's vehicles and then claims that it was a joke. Just a prank blow. No, bad joke. A Finnish man reportedly stored 12 kilograms or 26.5 pounds of dynamite in 2 cars belonging to a friend, saying it was just a joke. Just a prank that I blew you up. This is over in abcnews.go.com. Finnish man reportedly stored 12 kilograms in 2 cars, said it was a joke. Finland broadcaster YLE said, the owner of the two cars didn't see it as funny and informed the police, who briefly detained the potential prankster. He was eventually freed, but remains a suspect. Why would they be a suspect if they admitted to placing the explosives in the car?
Right, I think that's beyond suspect.
Yeah, interesting.
That is really odd.
They don't know where...
What if the cars blew up? Like,
yeah.
Regardless of what the intent was.
Yeah, the men knew each other, live in a small village in the western part of Finland. They don't know where the explosives came from. There was no terrorist intent, but hey, oh wait, the suspect faces up to 2 years in prison. Huh. All right. Why a suspect, though? You're pretty much the one.
Right.
That's pretty funny.
Well, and what is the population in this town?
I don't know.
It's not
Probably
in
2.
Copenhagen, I think. Right. I was going to say, if it's 2 people and one has the car and one doesn't, it's pretty narrowed down.
The person said that they did it, though.
I know.
And they're like,
I'm just imagining it's like in the remote part of Finland. I don't know.
We're going to write you down as a person of interest / suspect. Look, dude, I did it. Yeah, but...
I have the only house for a 300-mile radius or whatever.
We're still going to put you down as suspect. That way we can do our investigation and confirm it. And like, when they turn off the cameras and recording equipment and stuff like that during questioning, they're all just sitting there in the interrogation room, and the cops are like, look, this stuff never happens here. So just let us do this. Let us interrogate you.
Let us go through the motions.
An unused tool is a waste of time and money, and I need this job, man. I really need this job. We're in Finland. I need this job.
Is this interrogation ASMR? Or police work ASMR?
I put the explosives in the car. All right, let's go on to the next article. This next one's over on Law Nerd. Legal lullabies. You can now drift off to sleep courtesy of TikTok's terms and conditions. I love this. When I saw this title, I said, we have to have this in here. A tonic for even the most hardened insomniacs. The page invites listeners to lull yourself asleep with a soothing white noise of your favorite tech giant's terms of service. So I titled this Legally Sound Asleep, but I was going to call it Tossed Off to Sleep. But that one seemed a little bit, I don't know, too colorful. Emily Hinckley over at LegalCheek.com put this article together. Once upon a time, there was a global social media giant. So are you sitting comfortably, this article says? Then I'll begin. Someone has made a website which allows visitors to listen to the full terms and conditions from top social media platforms. The TikTok version is nearly 38 minutes long, and the Instagram version stretches for 51 minutes. The intro instructs listeners, close your eyes, drift away, or scroll down to join the 1% of technology users that claim to have read them from beginning to end. I'm surprised, though. This is probably violating a copyright.
Well, it is. I was a little surprised, too, to see this.
Because terms and conditions are actually tailor-made to the service. While they look like boilerplate, and when you do read them, every service of the same kind has 90% of the same terms and conditions. It's basically legalese CYA, right? But they have certain phraseology. It's kind of like ghost roads in Google Maps and in Apple Maps, that they're not real roads and nobody ever goes down them or is directed to go down them, but they're ghost roads, so that if somebody takes that map and uses them for themselves, you can tell that it was actually taken from.
Oh, okay.
And so this here
Well, and
is
their exact characterization of it, like even if they have similar terms, totality, it's going to be different than somebody else's.
exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it usually has certain context that's specially attuned for that particular service. So them reading it out loud is actually wholesale taking it, you know, but they're not. The only value add is not uh, an overwhelming. It's not an opinion piece, that takes little snippets from an article. It's not. Um, it's not changing it in any fundamental way.
No, and it's using it for commercial purposes, arguably, because they're probably getting subscriptions or whatever out of it.
Or something, and you don't have to charge, or it doesn't have to be for commercial purposes.
That's true.
Fair use is very nebulous, and if somebody wants to come after you for using their terms of service outside of agreeing or not agreeing to it, I could use the terms of service if I go through it and critique the hell out of it during a show.
Exactly, but that's not just saying it and not adding anything to it.
But I could still end up in a lawsuit but it would be a slap suit, which would be thrown out eventually. But I would have to hire an attorney to represent me in a copyright case. But this is really fascinating. I can bet up until now it hasn't garnered anybody's ire or attention.
Well,
but
it will now if it's getting media attention.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's an AI that's doing it.
Oh, wow. That'd be really interesting.
The page is a project called Terms of Service for Legal Lullabies from the Lazy Data Research Institute, or TLDR Institute. I like that. They worked hard to make that, by the way. Its purpose is to highlight the intentionally vague, long, and boring language used in terms and conditions that leads to many not knowing how their personal data is being used by online services. This is actually something that I wanted to address 20 years ago, where you basically take the terms of conditions and dissect the arcane legal ease and turn it into common language that people can understand, except that you get 5 attorneys reading a toss and they're going to have 5 different perceptions of what it actually means. And if you stick them in a room and give them enough alcohol, they might come to consensus, but more likely they'll just be drunk and resting their head on the table when you finally come in the next morning. So anyway, this is really interesting. It brings up a couple of legal issues. Primarily, is it a copyright violation to use somebody's toss to... Yeah.
But it's a pretty humorous way to put people to sleep.
It's a satirical take, but they're not actually... The satire isn't part of the dialogue. It's simply regurgitating the content, and that isn't satire.
Right. I mean, it's almost like they need to come up with their own terms, right? They'd be fictional, and then they could do the same thing.
But then it doesn't have that much of a swing, it doesn't have that much weight. Yeah. I don't know. This might draw attention that they don't really want. So let's keep on going.
Particularly if they're picking large companies as their targets.
It certainly looks like they are. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Mars is spinning faster and its days are getting shorter, and scientists aren't sure why. Probably because it wants to get out of town. Measurements from NASA's InSight Mars lander have uncovered a new Martian mystery. The red planet seems to be spinning faster, making its days a little shorter every year. Scientists don't know why it may be happening, but its suspect has to do with ancient ice. Really. The red planet's rotation is speeding up by 4 milliarc seconds per year, which in turn makes the Martian days shorter. Marianne Guineau is the author for this article, and let's see if I can summarize it really quick. They blame it on ancient ice. I don't get that. it seems just like you just pull something out of the air. There you go. Let's go with this hypothesis. Yeah, it'll
You've
take
tried
40
everything
years.
else.
Yeah, it'll take 40 years to even begin to take a step towards making this happen. But, getting us to actually verify it is going to take a lifetime of research and planning and whatnot. And then by the time we actually get there, it won't happen. It's an anomaly. Like some computing error or something like that, right? So the article again is over at businessinsider.com by Marianne Guinot. I had to back up and throw some URLs into chat because I neglected again. So it says here, we've spent a lot of time and energy preparing for the experiment and anticipating these discoveries, but despite this, we are still surprised along the way, said aerospace engineer Sébastien Lemastre. I don't know how to pronounce that properly in French, I think, of the Royal Observatory in Belgium, a lead scientist on the study. So I guess they're saying that that's what it is, the North Polar ice cap. What are the ice caps of Mars actually made of? They just say Martian ice. That's not like...
It says it's water and carbon dioxide down below.
How in the world is that water? Like what? Okay, so I guess, okay, maybe I haven't been paying attention to science, but I've never known that actual water, like H2O, there's some form of something on Mars and on other planets that if you were to fill a glass with it and tried to take a swig, you'd die before it hit your mouth. But is this saying that there's actual not liquid, but frozen ice water? Or water ice, I should say.
I think they've found water on, or at least I think they've seen evidence of water.
Evidence, yes.
Like
I've seen that.
Riverbed type
activities
markings.
And stuff.
Yeah.
Like drainage off of the cliffs.
And I think it actually disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah, so they didn't actually see the water. They only saw the knock-on effects of it. Interesting. So I guess now I'll have to sit there and look into this. A lot of these articles send me down a rabbit hole, and then when the next time it pops up again, I go, oh yeah, I remember this article. It sent me down a rabbit hole. And I ended up learning something more about it. A little melting ice doesn't seem like it should be heavy enough to affect the rotation of the planet, a huge planet, but this isn't unheard of. For instance, Earth's rotation around a polar axis is thought to have drifted about 13 feet since the 80s because of its melting glaciers. Meanwhile, the moon's gravitational pull has been making our days ever so slightly longer. Scientists estimate that the pull adds around 2.3 milliseconds to the length of each day every century. And our moon actually pulls on all of the water, so I would suspect that the more water we have, the heavier it's pulling, which either, well, it might be at the end of the day just in stasis because it's pulling from one point and then dropping all that weight at another point, as the Earth spins. Really interesting. I mean, that's how we have tides. At least like high tide, low tide, that kind of thing. So at least, again, man, I feel so boomer by sitting there saying these things, and then somebody's going to come along, by next week and go, hey, man, there's been some discoveries since you last looked at this, and some fundamental physics have changed.
Well, I mean, unless you're studying physics every day, you may not be keeping up with everything.
Yeah, I've had discussions with people recently about the whole fact that it seems like people that are in school are still like grade school hasn't been advancing information. It's still the same thing from, 50 years ago. Only certain social things have changed, like the news, the context of the information, but the information has remained the same. I don't know. Maybe
But I
there.
would say in the sciences, it's probably changed quite a bit.
It doesn't change fast. The fundamentals of it doesn't change fast, based on my conversations that I had this week. As a matter of fact, this week. Okay, so let's keep on going. We've got 2 more articles. This next article is again back to the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse's most obscure Easter eggs will never be found, according to this. That's why I titled this section Obscure Spider Eggs. So it's full of small details, references, the Easter eggs that further elevate the viewing experience, but its most obscure Easter eggs will never be found. The universe of Spider-Man keeps expanding not only in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but also in the realm of animation thanks to Sony's Spider-Verse movies. After the success of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in 2018, the sequel, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, arrived in 2023 to continue following the adventures of Miles Morales, voiced by, is their name Shemaiah Moore? I don't think I've ever heard the name said out loud.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Got it. And his spider variants across the multiverse. But interestingly enough, I'd say that the movie is split between Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales. Almost down the middle. Like, if there has been a protagonist movie, then it's them two right now. But I'm going to, let's just move over to the source of the article. Adrienne Tyler is the writer of the article, and it says Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is packed with details, but there are some very specific Easter eggs that will never be found without some help. So I'm going to try not to spoil the entire movie, but it's definitely going to happen for some people, I suppose. Let me pause this. Is it paused already? Yeah, it might autoplay. The little video here. I really hate autoplaying videos. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is filled with... see, told you it was going to autoplay. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is filled with Easter eggs, but the most obscure ones are nearly impossible to find without behind-the-scenes reveals. The production designer asked his crew to include their area code, zip codes as Easter eggs, making them very personal and hard to find, hard to identify. These impossible Easter eggs are clever and invite multiple rewatches, adding to the movie's visual impressiveness and serving as a tribute to the people involved in its making, which I think is really great. This is definitely a continuity report style movie where you need to keep on watching it and then you report out, this is what I found, this is where I found it, that kind of thing. I encourage you to do exactly that. Come over and post it into the articles listing in the continuity report. It's real easy. Just do a search for Across the Spider-Verse or obscure Easter eggs and you'll find the article snippet here on ohmTown. Then you click the link, you go over to the article itself and hang out and have a good time talking about it. I have a really, really, really big project that I'm researching right now that I might, I'll tease people until if I stop talking about it, then you know that the project pretty much died on the vine. But it's a way of motivating myself to keep going with this project, but because it's a really big project and I can't do it alone. So after the success of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, now you have Across the Spider-Verse, and the second one is a Cliffy, so there's going to be a third guaranteed. And because it is largely built in an animation form, the actors are going to be voice actors more than physical real world actors, which might make it easier for it to get done up until a certain point where the voice acting has to be done. And I'm not sure how they do the animation, if they do a rough build of the animation and then they tailor the facial expressions to the voice acting in post, after they do their lines, then the developers, the creators of this movie, could do the entire movie, and then when the strike is over, have the actors come in and do the voice acting.
That's true, but if they build it based on that, that's gonna significantly
Then they have
slow
to
it down.
wait. Yeah. So, and I don't, I mean, none of this is really done like old school cell driven flipping pages kind of a thing anymore. It's all computer generated. So that makes it a whole lot easier and portable. At any rate, Across the Spider-Verse's area code Easter eggs are impossible to find without, it says BTS reveal, which I'm not sure what that actually means.
So voice acting is the first step, actually. They build it based on that.
Oh, really? Well, then they're screwed. Behind the scenes, BTS means behind the scenes. So I actually found a couple while we were watching this. These numbers that would flash across the screen from time to time in the background on things. Pretty cool. Yeah, it would be a lot of fun to do like a watch party where everybody is watching this at the same time and checking it all out. It's pretty cool. I don't really think that I can go through this article and it makes sense because they're talking about these Easter eggs, area codes, zip codes. Unlike the many other Easter eggs and references in Across the Spider-Verse, of which most were done for fan service, these impossible Easter eggs are aimed at those who worked on the movie. As you watch the movie, there is countless references to other Spider-Man IP. So the entirety of the Spider-Verse really was tapped and brought into this. One of the most, outlandish spider variants is highlighted in the movie, and that's somebody who rides a motorcycle around the entire scene, like all the time. They're always on a motorcycle. It doesn't make any sense to me, but you got to suspend disbelief. I believe the spider car.
Is that where you stop on with a Spider-Man?
Look, I believe in Spider Pig. I believe in Spider Cat. I believe in the spider car, but somebody riding around on a motorcycle all the time, I mean, it's really pushing the limits of disbelief, so, of suspending disbelief. All right. Let's move on to the next article. Guggenheim Museum staff ratifies its first union contract with 97% of the vote. Museum employees signed their first union contract after 2 years at the bargaining table. Hard fought. This is the artnewspaper.com. Annie Irish is the author. It's hard to say it like that. Annie Irish is the author. The alliteration is real. So yeah, this one's titled "This Union Belongs in a Museum." It's kind of from Indiana Jones. This belongs in a museum, and they respond with, "You belong in a museum." Oh man, why is this stuff funny in my head and in nobody else's? The union, which formed in 2021, voted to become part of a local 2110 of the United Auto Workers, which is striking somewhere else as well, as far as I know. They're about to. Which represents workers at museums across the Northeast, including the Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Arts, MassMoCA, the New Museum, Whitney Museum of American Art, Museum of Fine Arts, Boston. Staff members at both the Brooklyn Museum and Jewish Museum are currently working with a UAW Local 2110 with their own or on their own first contracts. The Guggenheim Union is made up of roughly 150 people across multiple departments, including education, curatorial, visitor services, digital marketing, and administration. About 160 art handlers and maintenance workers separately signed a union contract with the Guggenheim as part of Local 30 of the International Union of Operating Engineers.
Okay, so wait a second. Would you have assumed that the auto workers union or the engineers union had anything to do with museum workers?
No, not a single solitary moment in my thought process is what I have said. A UAW union, sure, yeah. Or
And
the
I know almost any industry can be unionized, but I didn't
sure,
know that museum workers were generally.
yeah. See, and this is another union. This is actually two unions that have spawned within 2 years. So, look, people, there is a serious problem going on, and that is that the people who are providing jobs are expecting workers to fall on bended knee and kiss the ring. We're looking at the creation of oligarchs because the concentration of wealth is so freaking substantial. You can't shake a stick in a grocery store without the same 5 companies owning the parent of the organization that you're buying from. You buy a bag of chips and it's the same Nestle company or similar, right? But there's only a few of them. It isn't this wide swath of uh, wealth distribution. You think that you're buying, a store brand, but when you start peeling back the layers of the onion, it ends up being the same trillion-dollar company that owns all of these stores and all of these brands, and they purchase them so that all of that money gets funneled up to the stockholders and to the C-suite, the primary investors, the ones that have Class A stock, not just the ones that are trading the stock. And then all that wealth is used to go and buy the stock that's out in the wild and concentrate more of that value at the top. And the people that argue with me, well, that's just how it is. No, that's not how it is, because it's self-fulfilling prophecy. And it shouldn't be that way, because we don't really want a bunch of people that are beholden to a particular corporation and we're all too broken to go somewhere else because we don't have any bargaining power. We just have to take whatever job is given to us. That's where we're starting to head down. And I always get people that argue with me about, well, I've always been able to go get another job. Yeah. That's because you are you. You are not everybody. You're not the plurality of, society. And
There have been periods where jobs are relatively available, and then
right.
there are also periods when jobs are not available.
Yeah, and it's largely an arbitrary decision to contract because investors demand 30% profits, and if you don't make those profits, then you have to start trimming the fat, which is the most abhorrent sociopathic statement a human could make about another human. I mean, it's really sick and twisted to sit there and refer to human resources as human resources, but people as trimming the fat so that you can extend your runway. Anyway, I don't want to make every episode about soapboxing, but this is the reality of it, and somebody has to say it. You may think it, you may voice it periodically, but just know out there that you're not alone. There are many people out here that are thinking like that. But business is winning. But I'm a capitalist. Again, I've done a lot in my years, and I've helped out even more. And I believe in the capitalist enterprise. I just don't think that you should step on everybody's neck to get ahead. But then again, I'm not a Fortune 100 company, or CEO of a $1 trillion corporation. And that's probably because I don't feel the need to be associated with leadership that would step on somebody's neck to advance the corporate structure. And in the same breath where you're abusing people, go, well, that's just business. No, it's driven by humans. Don't be a piece of shit. It's driven by humans. It should be benefiting humans, and not just 5 people at the top or 1%. You know, you should have a social cause, a social good, while you make profits, and you damn well know you can make profits. Let's go look at all of the main producers of goods, and you'll see that they've got record profits year after year. Or they create fortune by being abusive until somebody blows the whistle, and then you'll sue them into the ground and marginalize them and treat them like crap because they call out your crap tendencies as a human. Anyway, hey, there you go. That's how we're going to end the show. Let's go back to the front page of ohmTown.com, the main street, so to speak, and we'll mash that logo and it'll refresh and give us a whole bunch of articles to talk about. Most of them seem to be, because it seems like it's a very big political time, because there's primaries and electioneering taking place. But
So what about the global rice price surge?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, right? Yeah, we can talk about that. We'll find others that are in this mix that are entertaining, as well as these more pragmatic articles. I don't know if anybody's out there and you were looking at refining your house or buying a house, but guess again, it's standard mortgage rates are sitting like at 8% now, the highest in 26 years, or something like that, maybe 20 years. But even with a higher interest rate, you have to put more money down, and these companies are still making record profits. Every time I see Bob Iger's name like that right there, CEO Bob Iger, I think of Bob's Burgers. Every time. I don't know why. My brain instantly sees Bob's Burgers.
There's something interesting way near the bottom of the page.
Like way down, huh?
Yeah, NASA has spotted a question mark in deep space.
Yeah, this has actually come across ohmTown before. Earlier this week, I saw this, and it's an optical illusion. The dot in the question mark is much closer. I don't know. We can look at it, and maybe we can talk about it tomorrow so that I can explain it if so interested. There are some articles that I'm actually actively removing because it's content that's really unbecoming of ohmTown. So if you see any articles that are really like, are you sure you want this on ohmTown, let me know, and I will remove them. At any rate, another day, another show, a whole bunch more news. Stay awesome out there. And I asked a question up here in search. So is it a new proto-saber technology post Order 66? And is this a new type of lightsaber that's going to be spitting out an orange yellow lightsaber? Either answer in the chat or answer in a comment in an article that is somewhere on ohmTown.com. And you can always, I might.
Or you can go in Discord or TikTok.
You can come to Discord.
Well, I guess we don't have that segment on TikTok yet.
Not that specific segment, no. You can also leave a comment over on YouTube, like, subscribe, go over to Apple Podcasts or anywhere you actually get podcasts. But Apple is the one that actually really propels. You can download it at Spotify because it gets submitted there. all kinds of actually, all kinds of places for podcasts. Google has their own podcasting vehicle, and you can get ohmTown there too. Anywhere you are interested in getting podcasts, you can get ohmTown now. And if you do have one that you can't, get in touch with me. Send an email, mayor@ohmtown.com. I get those emails all the time right here. At any rate, that's it for today. Relatively short day. I didn't soapbox too much. Aren't you proud of me?
I'm very proud of you, Mayor Watt.
The AI is programmed to say that. All right. See you later, everybody. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmtown.com. And up there is the AI that's going to say goodbye. Or good night.
Good night, hometown citizens. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern.
True. See ya.